Hello children, welcome back to electromagnetic waves. This is our second video in this series of study of electromagnetic waves. In the first video we saw how electromagnetic waves are being produced, and it's very simple. We have an oscillating charge, then it produces a variable electric field, and then a variable magnetic field is produced simultaneously. From Maxwell's equations we understood that whenever E will produce a variable electric field will produce, then immediately with no time lag a variable magnetic field will also be produced. Now these two fields will be oscillating at what? Right angle to each other, right? This will be time dependent, they will be in phase, and then a wave is produced which is travelling perpendicular to the direction of oscillation of electric and magnetic field vectors. Like once again, this is the situation that we discussed, if you remember. This is x axis, this is y, and this is z. In the 3-dimensional space, electric field is varying like this. This is how electric field is varying. Almost simultaneously, this electric field you can see is along y axis. Its values are changing all the time, you can see here. Right? This is the amplitude of electric field. This is in positive direction, this is in negative direction, and almost instantly this varying magnetic field is also being produced. Now this field is in phase. This is how it is being produced. This is E and this is B. Now the wave is propagated along x axis. X axis is perpendicular to the what? Y axis and Z axis in the 3-dimensional space. So the direction of propagation of the wave is always perpendicular to the planes in which E and B are located. Very important. And this is given by Poynting vector. There is a term that we use. Poynting vector gives us the direction of propagation of energy, that is velocity of the electromagnetic wave, right? And direction of electromagnetic wave, children, is given by E cross B. This gives the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. For example, E is along, suppose let I say E naught J, I am assuming it is along y axis, and then we have B equals to B naught K is along Z axis. E naught and B naught are amplitudes of the electric and magnetic field vectors. Then E cross B will be equal to E naught B naught into J cross K, and J cross K is how much, children? I. E naught B naught I. So obviously the Poynting vector is directed along positive direction of x axis. This is where the wave is propagating. You are already familiar with this. And remember, in the electromagnetic waves, though in the diagram you are seeing that amplitude of E and B is same, but this is not the case. In fact, electric field is very large compared to the magnetic field. How large? The ratio of electric and magnetic field vectors is how much here? C, where C is the what? Speed of light. 3 into 10 to the power 8. So you can understand this, that if I take a scale, if I say B naught is equal to 1 meter, meaning I am taking a ruler of length 1 meter to represent the magnetic field, then you know how long the electric field will be? It will be, if I cross multiply 3 into 10 to the power 8 B naught, meaning 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter. Clear? So I need a stick whose length will be how much here? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters, or we have 3 into 10 to the power 5 kilometers, meaning this will be nearly 50 times the radius of the diameter of the what? Radius of the earth. You can understand that the electric field is so very prominent compared to the magnetic field, but then they coexisted. This is a beautiful symmetry in nature. A very large object which is 3 lakh kilometers long exists in equilibrium with an object which is only 0.001 kilometer long. So, you can see the symmetry in the nature, and both are complementing each other. The moment E will change, B will be produced, the moment B will change, E will be produced, and they will be oscillating at right angle to each other. You know the right angle we can show. If this is current, this is the magnetic field, they are perpendicular to each other, right. This is an important concept which you need to understand, that these will always be coexisting. Now, children, generally when we speak about electromagnetic wave, we always think about the visible light, but actually visible light, the visible region in which we can see objects, which creates sensitivity in our eyes, in fact is only the tip of the iceberg. We will be discussing the complete electromagnetic spectrum and see the visible region is only a very tiny part of it, very small part of the complete electromagnetic spectrum, right. It is ranging only from 4000 angstrom roughly to 8000 angstrom. Only this much we are able to see, and visibility of light comes because of electric field vector. Remember, electric field vector produces optical sensitivity and helps in seeing. Magnetic field does not contribute to our seeing at all. Clear? So, electric field is responsible to make it possible for us to see things. So, you understand the direction of electromagnetic wave is always perpendicular to the plane containing the electric and magnetic fields, right. Now, it is important for us to know that electromagnetic wave can be very easily explained with the help of the 4 equations, modified equations called Maxwell's equations. Clear? And displacement current is a very important element in it, which we have seen between the plates of a capacitor, where there is no direct connection of a wire. If there is a variable electric field, then a current is being set up, which is displacement current. We will be seeing one numerical on this, and then we will come to discuss the complete electromagnetic spectrum. We will be seeing one numerical on this. Okay? Let us say this. So, children, here we have a problem, a typical problem. A parallel plate capacitor with circular plates of radius 1 meter has a capacitance of 1 nanofarad. At time t is equal to 0, it is connected for charging in series with the resistance of 1 mega ohm. 1 mega ohm is what? 10 to the power 6 ohms across 2 volts battery. Calculate the magnetic field at a point P in between the plates, halfway between the center and periphery after 10 to the minus 3 seconds. It is a very simple problem. Let us try to see this problem. In fact, it uses the concept of charging of a capacitor through a resistance. There are 2 plates. This plate is circular. One plate is here and the other plate is here. You can imagine like this. There are 2 plates and these plates are forming the 2 plates of a capacitor. Clear? And these 2 plates are connected with the help of a resistance here. We have a resistance R, which is 1 mega ohm, and then here we have a battery, and the battery is how many volts? This is the circuit that we are going to work on. When I will close this key, you can see a current will be set up in the circuit, and this current will be used to charge the 2 plates. You can see that when I will close the key, then charge will start accumulating on the 2 plates, and as the charge will increase, then obviously what? Electric field will increase. The variable electric field will produce a variable flux between the 2 plates, and the moment there is a variable electric flux, there will be displacement current. This is the concept we are going to use. Now, they want you to calculate electric field here at a point P. You can see here P. At what distance? Half the radius. Half the radius. You can visualize like this, that this is the plate. See a magnified view. This is the plate. I want to calculate magnetic field here at a point P. Radius of each plate is how much? 1 meter. So obviously here I can imagine another circle, another disc having what radius? R by 2, where radius of the circular plate of the capacitor is R. Clear? Now we know that the moment I close the key, the capacitor will start charging itself and this charge will be variable. So I will say here what is given, we will write down. Given children, we have resistance is 1 mega ohm, which is 1 into 10 power 6 ohm. Then capacitance of the capacitor is 1 nanofarad, which is 10 to the power minus 9 farad. What else is given? V, we know V is given as 2 volts and time is 1 millisecond, that is 10 to the power minus 3 seconds. Now when I close the key, I said the charge will start building on the two plates. The charge will be variable with time. So we say charge on the capacitor after time t is given by Q is equal to Q naught into 1 minus e to the power minus t by CR. Now there is a new term for you. CR is called time constant, we denote by tau. Here we have time constant, actually we denote by tau. Tau is equal to C into R, right? And C into R, let us put in the value. C is how much? 10 to the power minus 9. And how much is R, children? 10 to the power 6. So 10 to the power minus 3. So time constant becomes how much? 10 to the power minus 3, right? And remember one more thing here, the time is given as 10 to the power minus 3 second. So we don't have to forget this. So we put the value here, again Q naught. What is Q naught, children? Q naught is the maximum charge, C into V. Q naught is how much here? C into V. So let us put in this value. So Q becomes C. C is how much here? 10 to the power minus 9. V is how much here? 2 volts. 1 minus e to the power minus t by 10 to the power minus 3. Now if 10 to the power minus 3 goes in numerator, it becomes Q is equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 9, 1 minus e to the power 10 to the power 3 t. So children, we got how much is Q. So as charge, you can see depending upon time, charge is variable. As charge is variable, children, then what will happen? Electric flux will also be variable. Clear? So I will say electric flux density. Electric flux density means what? Electric field inside the unit surface area is equal to Q by epsilon naught into area. Clear? Because you know that electric field phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Gauss theorem I am going to use. Clear? So if I put in the value, then Q we know. Let us put the value Q, will put in the end later on. So Q by epsilon naught. And how much is A? A is pi into radius of the plate is what? 1 square. 1. So electric flux density is Q by pi into E naught, right? Now this is flux through unit surface area, but I want to calculate flux through this area. And what is radius of this area? R is equal to half meter, right? So therefore electric flux through point P is, if I want to calculate this flux children, then this will be phi E is equal to flux density into pi into half square. Clear? So electric flux density will be phi, electric field will be, flux will be phi E is equal to electric flux density we already calculated. This is the electric flux density, Q upon pi into epsilon naught and into pi into half square. Pi and pi cancel out, it's Q by 4 epsilon naught. So this is the electric flux. Now I'll put the value of Q. I'll put the value of Q to calculate how much is the variable flux. So phi E will become, Q we already know from equation 1, 2 into 10 power minus 9, 1 minus e to the power 10 to the power 3t, right? So let's put in the value, 2 into 10 power minus 9, 1 minus e to the power 10 to the power 3t divided by 4 epsilon naught. Clear? So you can see that this flux is what? Variable. Flux is variable. Why? Because here flux is a function of time. Now we will calculate displacement current. Therefore, displacement current ID is equal to d phi E dt. And if you differentiate children, then you can see that this term is constant. Cancel out, becomes 2, 10 to the power minus 9 divided by 2 epsilon naught, 1 minus derivative of e to the power 10 to the power 3t respect to t. So children, we can easily calculate how much the displacement current. If we differentiate this, then ID is equal to, we get 10 to the power minus 9 divided by 2 E naught into derivative of 1 is how much here? 0 minus e to the power e to the power 10 to the power 3 t into 10 to the power 3 into t. We differentiated and we will calculate how much is the displacement current. Okay, dt is equal to 1. So children, this is the value of displacement current. We are going to simplify, and displacement current you can clearly see is a function of time. Okay, so I hope you have taken the screenshot, so I can rub this side. D is equal to, if we ignore the negative sign there, we get 10 to the power minus 9 by 2 into e to the power 10 power 3t into 10 to the power 3, because you can see here dt will be 1. Okay, simple case of differentiation. Now here we simplify, then becomes 10 to the power minus 6 by 2 into e to the power 10 to the power 3 into t. So this is displacement current after time t. Now if I using Ampere's law, then children, line integral of B dot dl is equal to mu naught times, we have IC plus ID. Now let's understand this. We want to calculate magnetic field inside the two plates of the capacitor, and we know IC will be how much? 0. ID we already know. IC is equal to how much? 0. So we get B dl will be equal to mu naught ID, and children, dl will be 2 pi into radius. A radius here is how much here? Half. Clear? 2 pi r dash I'll say, and r dash is equal to how much? Half meter. So if I put all these values out here, then B into 2 pi into half will become mu naught, and displacement current you have already calculated. How much is that? Here we calculate how much is displacement current. 10 to the power minus 6 by 2 into e to the power e to the power 10 to the power 3 t. Now this 2 and 2 are gone. So we get B equals to mu naught by 2 pi into 10 to the power minus 3 minus 6 into 10 e raised to the power 10 to the power 3 t. Now children, we will put the value of mu naught, which is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7, and we will put t is equal to how much? 10 to the power minus 3. We will put here t is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 second. If you put it children, then B becomes mu naught. Mu naught is how much? 4 pi 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 2 pi 10 to the power minus 6 e to the power 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power minus 3. Clear? If you simplify this, then you come 7.4 into 10 to the power minus 14 Tesla. Roughly, you can do the calculations yourself. Clear? So this is how we are going to deal with the problem, right? It is a very simple case, but you have to understand that we took this area, which becomes the Amperian loop, right? And we calculated flux through this loop. Clear? Now we will be moving on to discuss complete electromagnetic waves. Okay? Complete electromagnetic spectrum. Children, generally, when you talk about spectrum, then a common experiment comes to our mind using the prism. The spectrum of light which you have seen, this is a prism, and white light is made incident on one of the edges, and it splits into what? Band of 7 colors, right? This is red and this is violet. And generally we think that this is the spectrum. Actually, the spectrum does not end here. This is only the tip of the iceberg, right? There is a huge portion above this, and also there is a huge portion below it which you are not able to see. The portion below violet here is UV region, violet to below violet comes what? UV region, then comes X-ray region, and then comes gamma ray region. You can use the symbol only: gamma rays, X rays and UV rays. Below the violet end of the spectrum, we have smaller wavelengths and higher frequency spectra, that is ultraviolet, then X rays, and then what? Gamma rays. Above we get infrared region, then you get microwaves, then you get what? Radio waves. Children, this represents complete spectrum. This is only a small part of it that we can see with the naked eye, and this is even smaller than tip of the iceberg. We see only this much, and then also there is so much problem in the world. Imagine if we are able to see all the spectrum from gamma rays up to the radio waves with the naked eye, what will happen? Clear? This is a very mysterious world filled with all kind of electromagnetic waves. We are seeing only a very small part of it, which is extending from 4000 angstrom to 8000 angstrom. These radiations are so very important and so very indispensable for our lives that we can't do without them. Most of these are not seen by us, but they have their own applications which are very important for sustaining our life. Every time your mobile phone rings, you think you are using an electromagnetic wave, right? So electromagnetic waves are indispensable. The telecommunication industry, then long range communications which are not connected with wireless communications, they all depend upon this, right? So we will be discussing, children, keep in mind that electromagnetic wave is the complete range of spectrum which is extending below and above the visible range of the spectrum. So we will be seeing now what is the origin of these radiations, how can they be detected, and what are their possible applications, all this in a tabular form under complete electromagnetic spectrum. You expected to learn the range, but keep in mind, if you can remember like this, it is easy. As you moved on the group, remember here, as you moved on the group, then lambda decreases, wavelength decreases, and if wavelength will decrease, then what will happen? Frequency increases. So, which one has maximum frequency? Gamma rays. Which has least frequency? Radio waves. You are coming down, amplitude is decreasing. So, which has maximum amplitude? Radio waves. Which has minimum, wavelength. Which has maximum wavelength? Radio waves. And which has minimum wavelength? That is gamma rays. So, remember, more the frequency, less the wavelength. And if you move upwards, if you move up the spectrum here, then it will be reverse. If you move up, then wavelength will increases, and frequency decreases. So, you can very easily remember this, and then you can easily compare the wavelengths if you know this order, right. Only 5 components you have to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 components you have to remember. This is called visible region of VR. These are all beyond visible region, above and below. Clear? So, let us see a complete tabular form of this representation. Okay. So, children, here you have complete electromagnetic spectrum on the board. You can take a screenshot, write down and learn the range of wavelengths, frequencies, and also the application. The first one comes is what? Radio waves. Has a frequency of 10 power 4 to 10 to the power 8 hertz, and the wavelength is more than 0.1 meter. Sources are accelerating and retarding electrons. When the electrons are rapidly accelerated and rapidly what? Deaccelerated in aerials, then you produce what? Radio waves. They can be detected by using receivers and aerials, which are basically electronic circuits. And I don't have to tell you, radio communications are used in all kind of communications, wireless communications, all kind of communication we are using radio waves. Then comes microwaves, has a frequency range of 10 to the power 9 to 10 to the power 12 hertz, and the wavelength varies from 0.1 to 1 millimeter, and they are produced by special devices, circuits called klystrons and magnetron bulbs. Okay. So, you have to know that microwaves are produced by using valves named klystron and magnetron valves, right, and they are detected by a special diode we will be doing later on. Is called point contact diode, and they are used in radars, study of crystalline structures. They are basically used for the purpose of detecting movement of flying objects, that is in radars. Then you have infrared radiations. This part is just lying above the red end of the visible region of the spectrum, visible spectrum, has a frequency of 10 power 11 to 5 into 10 power 14 hertz. Wavelength is 1 millimeter to 700 nanometer, and this is produced by vibration of atoms and molecules. When atoms and molecules start vibrating, then they will produce what? Infrared radiations. Detection. In fact, infrared radiations are very important for us. You know, they produce heating effect. If from the light coming from the sun, we remove infrared radiations, you will never feel warmth, right? They are important for maintaining the heating effect upon effect on earth, which is important for sustaining growth of life, all life forms on earth, right? So, sunlight, the heating effect comes from infrared rays. They are detected by thermopiles, which are basically devices which are based on thermoelectric effect, that they contain thermocouples. So, thermopiles, then bolometer, and also photographic plates can be used for detecting infrared radiations. Now, infrared radiations find tremendous application in study of molecular structure, signaling, long range signaling. Then we have haze photography, which is hazy you want to see, you can use night vision devices. They all use what? Infrared radiations extensively. Then we come to visible light. This part of spectrum makes this world beautiful. If you can't see anything, definitely you will not be able to enjoy the bounties of nature. So visible light 4 × 10^14 to 7 × 10^14 hertz, and it has got a very narrow wavelength range, 700 nanometer to 400 nanometer. This light is produced when electron jump from outer orbit to the inner orbit. You have done Bohr's model. When electron jump from outer orbit to the inner orbits, higher to the lower orbit, they emit electrons which are photons emitted, which are responsible for producing visible light. They can be detected with the help of human eye, all kind of eyes. And then we have photographic film, which will make this world appear beautiful in the presence of the visible light. They use it for seeing objects. Also, for sustaining certain chemical reactions, we use visible light. Ultraviolet light. Now, this light is just below the violet end of the visible spectrum, has a frequency range of 10^16 to 10^17. You have to remember this range, and wavelength range of 400 nanometer to 1 nanometer. They are produced again when the electrons are jumping from outer orbit to the inner orbit in the inner cells of atoms, right? And then they can be detected using photographic plate, specially designed photographic plate, and they are extensively used for causing chemical reactions, including photosynthesis, cause chemical reactions, sterilization, understand? But at the same time, they cause also skin cancer if you have overexposure to ultraviolet rays. And Earth's atmosphere is blessed with a layer of ozone which prevents the excessive penetration of ultraviolet rays from sunlight into our atmosphere. They also ionize what? Atoms. Then you come to X-rays. X-rays, very common term. Every time you have problem in the bones, you go for X-ray photography. They have a frequency of 10^16 to 10^19. They got more energy. Remember, more frequency means more energy, because energy of electromagnetic wave is h into nu, right, or is c by lambda. More frequency, less the wavelength, more is the energy of the electromagnetic wave. X-rays are produced. They have a frequency of 10^16 to 10^19, and wavelength is very small, from 1 nanometer to 10^-3 nanometer. And then they are produced when electrons strike heavy metals. Okay, when electrons are allowed to fall on heavy metals, then they produce highly penetrating secondary radiations. These are called what? X-rays. They are produced by electrons striking what? Heavy metals. Okay. Now, the detecting can be done with the help of photographic film. X-ray films we have, which is for X-ray photography, and then they can also be detected with the help of a special device called Geiger tube, and they are used in photography. X-rays have a special property. Their penetrating power is quite high, but low energy X-rays, they cannot penetrate what? Bones. So they are used for photographing or bones. If there is any problem, if there is any fracture, they are used. This is used for study of crystals, X-ray crystallography. We have it is being used for study of crystalline structures. X-rays are also used for detecting any defects in scientific designs. If we make an aircraft engine, there is the smallest what? Hole of size of even a nanometer, it can create havoc. You are designing a precision engine. So for designing, checking the fabrication of engineering designs, we use what? X-rays. Then you have gamma rays. These are deadly rays and most energetic, most penetrating rays. In fact, these rays are not affected by electric and magnetic fields, also keep in mind, because they do not carry any charge, none of them. Now, gamma rays, they have the highest frequency 10^18 to 10^22 and smallest wavelength range less than 10^-3 nanometer, and they are produced when radioactive nuclei undergo decay, and then they are detected by using special photographic film and also by using Geiger counters, and their application is similar to that of X-rays. Gamma rays also used for taking out tumors, cancerous cells. There is another application you have to know. Otherwise, they are used like X-rays also in photography. Gamma ray cameras are used, right? And then for studying the crystalline structure, them similar applications. Okay. So children, go through this entire range of electromagnetic waves, right? Thank you.